All right, I have 12 noon, so let's get today's program started. Good afternoon, welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your day for the virtual town hall with Dean Ann Bayless and special guest, Dr. Dana Hollie. Today's event is sponsored by the College of Business and Innovation, as well as the Business and Innovation Alumni Affiliate. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Paul Smith. I'm the Assistant Director for Alumni Engagement at the University of Toledo Alumni Association, working specifically for the College of Business Alumni Affiliate. A few quick housekeeping items. As guests are joining us, I would like to remind you that you are muted. Your attendee names are not visible to other attendees, though they are visible to us. Therefore, you will only see your name in the attendee list. So if you're looking at the attendee list, you only see your name. There's many attendees there. Just know yours is the only one that will show up. Additionally, if you'd like to change your view on your screen, you can click in the upper right corner of your screen to expand or reduce. Also, as part of the program, we are sharing various different questions, which many of you have submitted as part of your registration. We thank you for those, and we'll get to as many of those as we can. Now, I'd officially like to welcome our first speaker and main moderator, the Dean of the College of Business and Innovation, Dr. Ann Bayless.
Thank you, Paul. Hi, everybody. Thank you for registering for this event. My colleagues in other colleges have hosted town halls. Our provost is hosting one today. Seems like the way to go these days, and a perfect opportunity to update everybody about the restart of school. We actually planned it on purpose to be this late in August so that we would have the most up-to-date information for you. And I know that there are Toledo faculty, staff, and students listening in. There are also people from out of town, alumni from all over, who also are participating. So some of you may have heard this information before, some of you may have had access to this information before, but we're going to try and give you the most up-to-date information that we have because people are curious about getting back to school. And to that end, not everybody is necessarily on campus at this point. There are students who are moving in. There are faculty who are about to start teaching, but maybe they're teaching remotely. Faculty and staff have been in their offices off and on during the summer. But all in all, the remote activity that we've been doing since March has been very successful. So that's the good news that I want to share right off the bat, is that the college was able to pivot very successfully, and I'll tell you more about that as we go on. As far as the actual plan to restart, there is a very comprehensive Rocket restart plan, which is featured here on the PowerPoint slide. This is a screenshot of the College of Business and Innovation's main landing page, and it has the arrows pointing to how to click in and link to the Rocket restart plan. It's also featured prominently on the Toledo main website as well. And this is a plan that has been prepared by a very large team of people on campus from every corner of the campus facilities, the academic side, the student services side, certainly the health department even has been a partner in this planning. And we've been told that we have one of the best plans in the state for restarting. That's been the feedback that we've gotten. It's that comprehensive. It's also something that is being continually updated. So if you do pull it up, you will see references to dates where it has been updated with new information, and that will be the case through the whole semester. So, you know, the plan is to start classes on Monday. There are links here for every constituent group, faculty, staff, students. Certainly parents have been clued into this through various communications. We try and distribute it and the link to it as much as we can so that people refer to it. Also, in each college and each unit on campus, there's someone called a COVID advocate, so that if students, faculty, and staff have questions, they can ask an individual in their college. I happen to have volunteered to be the COVID advocate in our college, so that if you have an unusual situation, or even if certainly if it's personal or confidential, that it can be handled rapidly and in the proper way. So we've taken all kinds of communication efforts, including sort of a personalized approach to answer questions that people have about getting back to work and getting back to school. So I think you might know our plan for the semester has even changed. We're starting a week earlier. We were supposed to start on August 24th, now the 17th, and we're going to complete our on-campus portion of instruction in November, late November, before Thanksgiving, and then that next week will be finals week, and commencement is scheduled for December 6th. And so there will be a lengthier break over the course of the winter that maybe will allow people to, shelter safely at home and then return again safely later in January. So that was the plan that was launched in the late spring, and we're sticking to that plan for the moment. And again, we have considered every single strategy to address the pandemic and the instructional needs of our students. And so, it's probably the most ambitious kind of planning. Every kind of contingency is being considered, and we just have to, see how things play out, hoping to keep everything safe and sound. But if we did have to pivot again and go completely remote, we're prepared to do that as well, as we did in the spring. So fortunately, the faculty and staff and students have been cooperative in this effort, and I believe that we did get through the spring in a very successful fashion, which I'll talk about a little later because someone had a question about that. So Paul did collect some questions that were asked by you participants earlier when you registered, so I'm prepared to answer some of those.
Perfect. Thank you, Dean Bayless. All right, well, the first question takes us back to spring semester, and the question is, in the month of February, there were roughly 118,000 minutes of online instruction, and then spring break happened, then classes were moved 100% online, and just in the month of March alone, that increased over 4.8 million minutes of online instruction. How did the College of Business make this pivot, and how did they use these online resources to be effective with helping their students?
Good question. That sounds like it came from the inside, if someone knows how many minutes of instruction we had. But yeah, it was an extraordinary increase. But I will tell you, I'm speaking for the College of Business and Innovation, of which I am very proud. We were well prepared before we were asked to pivot. Prior to the mid-March break, we had approximately 40% of our classes were being taught online. So sure, there was another 60% to convert, but our faculty were well versed in online instruction and instructional technology. We were pretty up to date, and so it was done quickly. And I'm sure there was, some hiccups along the way for everybody, and certainly there was the fear factor that gripped people. So unfortunately, it was done hastily, but it was done well. And so we moved to 100% online with, I think, the benefit of being familiar with the instructional technology and everybody being willing to cooperate. And there were additional support mechanisms in place, like students who needed to borrow laptops. That was available. It's still available. We loan them out. We have a sign-out procedure. There were bandwidth issues, and I heard tales of students coming to campus and parking in the parking lot in order to get Wi-Fi, which was really dedicated of them, but unfortunate too. It just demonstrated that not everybody's home was equipped for going to remote instruction. But I think the university found ways to assist those students. I think our faculty were highly creative in reaching out to students and changing their classroom modality to teach online and to include everybody. There was certainly an effort to make sure everybody who was in the class was safe and in a place where they could learn safely and complete the semester. We consulted with students about connectivity. We consulted with them about their needs. We were interactive with the students and what they needed, and we did everything we could to support them. We also amazingly continued the semester with competitions and award ceremonies and sort of regular programming that moved online. So some of the activities that we had, job placement and interviewing and internships, were still being offered and received by the students. So again, we were able to kind of keep a steady ship, and students, were able to continue with their employment, their summer employment that they might have signed up for during a job fair in February, and the employers were very generous in maintaining those relationships and honoring those placements. So we were grateful. I think we did an excellent job pivoting in all areas.
Great. Thank you for that.
Sure.
Now, as you probably know well, the College of Business and Innovation is one of its main hallmarks is its attention to student-centeredness and its ability to provide services to the students to help launch their careers, especially in the world of career services. So there are several questions that were more or less along the lines of the same thing. Being in the COVID-19 world where a lot of things are happening virtually, will there be a job fair this semester? And how does the college still plan to provide those opportunities for students seeking employment and internships, especially things like resume building, mock interviews, all those sort of skills that the College of Business is known for instilling in its students?
Mm-hmm. Good question, and I've got an answer for you. We even have a slide related to an upcoming job fair in September. We traditionally hold them in September and February, and we knew back in the spring that we were likely going to have to offer a virtual format of our job fair, and so preparations were made to do just that. This is not anything new. It's new for us, but virtual job fairs have been conducted in the past, and it allows, frankly, for more employers from farther away even to get involved. So we're excited about that. And this slide gives you an idea of the timing and so on. I will also say that you're right. The hallmark of our programming includes the fact that we prepare students from the time they walk in the door. And so freshmen are as welcome at these events as seniors are, and not just undergraduates, graduate students as well. And for those of you who didn't know and who are outside of the U Toledo campus, alumni are eligible to participate in job fairs. Now, certainly many of our alumni are actually the employers, represent the employers who come to the job fair, but alumni who are job seeking may also participate. So if you didn't know that, there is a process by which you register through this handshake system that we have, and feel free to contact our Business Career Programs office and Craig Turner specifically from that office to get instructions about how to do that, or go to the website and check that out. But yes, we are continuing with the same kinds of services to our students, the same kind of career development advice. You may have seen over the summer that some of our faculty members, including Amy O'Donnell, have had sort of mini webinars and snippets on LinkedIn and elsewhere, interviews with various people in the community about how to conduct business, how to get employed, how to find a job, how to function in this virtual world. So we've been offering that advice over the summer. We will certainly, include it in our programming as we always have, virtually or in a face-to-face class. By the way, we are having face-to-face classes this semester. It's not completely online, and some are hybrid, a little bit of both. So we, as always, will have the business career programs programming integrated into our classroom instruction, and certainly get the word out to everybody who could participate in the job fair and the preparations for the job fair, like the mock interviews, like the resume review. Those services will still be available to students. So stay tuned. That'll be communicated to you if you're a student out there. You're going to have to pay attention to your U-Toledo email, by the way. I know that you probably go on other platforms and you communicate with your friends in various ways, but the official sort of communication that we use is the U-Toledo email. So please check that for updates and for announcements, and we will be sending you regular communications.
All right. So the next question comes in. As we well know, this is a time of the year where a lot of corporations are reporting their Q2 financial numbers. And the common theme we seem to be hearing is that COVID for many businesses has been both a damper in some ways, as well as an accelerant for change in other areas. So with that in mind, how has COVID-19 been an accelerant for change in the College of Business and Innovation, as well as how has it been a challenge or damper?
Let's not talk about the damper, but I will say that speaking of the business community, I spoke with somebody yesterday who told me that he is looking for employees, that the job market, and he's well integrated in the business community, is actually very robust right now. Surprise. So that's good news for our students and for those who are potentially participating in the job fair, and for that particular employer who will also participate in the job fair. I can answer this question pretty simply. That we, as an accredited business school, are in the process of continuous improvement always. And so while I don't think anybody in the world expected this pandemic, it was kind of like a sci-fi event, we try to be data-driven. We try to anticipate change. We try to meet that change, prior to it surprising us. And so again, a good portion of our classes were already online. Faculty were prepared and trained to deliver in different modalities and creatively. And students, of course, are very technology savvy these days. So those sort of precursors set us up to address that pivotal situation in March, but we continue to look at how we need to change. Okay, we have programs at the undergraduate and graduate level, at the associate level as well. We have extracurricular programs. We have services that we offer students. How can we improve those every day? How can we do better? How can we meet the challenges of a new generation of students, of technology savvy students, of students who need different job skills, of a changing job market? I think another example that's kind of interesting is that despite the fact that most employers move to a remote format for their employees, there certainly was a fear that people would not be productive, that people would be out of sight, that people would that things would fall apart. And I think surprisingly and in a very positive way, people proved themselves to be very productive online. I mean, it might be lonely and you might have some Zoom fatigue, but I think that we proved that we are able, as a society, to move and pivot like we did. I think it was a challenge. I think we met it as a society, certainly as a business school. And so that said, we continued to offer through, for example, our Center for Family Business. We offered webinars and participated with the Chamber of Commerce in their Reboot initiative to get the word out to small and family businesses about how to maneuver their way through this pandemic. The Schmidt School certainly provides advice on professional sales to a wide variety of groups. They continue to do what they do best. Our faculty were in the press. Our faculty were online. Our faculty were on social media. They were highly cited. It was fabulous for our exposure to see just how much practical information and research oriented information we could offer to the business community at large. And there were others who provided other kinds of sage advice, like Dr. Clint Longenecker, who had a number of webinars through the Center for Family Business too about how to get through this pandemic, how to survive it, and so on. So through our research and through modifying our teaching and through novel ways of reaching students where they live, we really did meet the challenge. I think it was energizing in a way. A great deal of energy was put into it. We even had the opportunity to engage in a project about modifying our MBA for the future, which was something we had planned anyway, so we continued with that work. And if you would go to this next slide, we developed a series of courses along with the College of Pharmacy to offer some insight into the cannabis industry. And so there are 2 courses being offered by the College of Pharmacy, and there are 2 courses being offered by our college this fall, and we will be engaged in getting a certificate, both at the undergraduate and graduate level, approved throughout the fall, so that those 4 courses combined would equal a certificate in cannabis management. So right now they are special topics courses from our college that Brandon Cohen has developed and is offering, and other faculty are interested in this subject. It's timely, it's popular, it's certainly attractive to people from states where cannabis is legal at a recreational level and certainly a medicinal level. And so it is not how to, by the way, it is not how to start a cannabis business. It is about the regulations associated with it, the chemistry of it, the implications of it for society, and so on. It is an effort to educate whoever is interested, our current students or new students, people from the community, about what this particular industry holds. So we are continuing to develop courses in this area, and we look forward to launching it actually next week. Next week is when the first 2 courses start. They are 7.5-week courses. They're completely online. So we will see where that goes. And by the way, there are other colleges and universities in the U.S. that have bachelor's and master's degrees in this subject area. Most of them are quite scientific. Few of them are business related, but there are a few. But we are certainly the first in Ohio and in Northwest Ohio that is related to a 4-year accredited institution. So if anybody's interested in that, there's a link there to check that out.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you did mention that Monday is the first day of classes, so the first day of classes is literally right around the corner. Can you maybe share with us in a little more detail the steps that the University of Toledo, as well as the College of Business, are taking to provide really the safest learning environment possible for students, faculty, and staff?
Mm-hmm. So I'll mention just right off the bat that, students and faculty and staff who may have acknowledged that they need some kind of accommodation for, medical reasons, and who do not feel comfortable in the classroom or in their office or on campus, were given the opportunity to, apply for an exception or to work remotely or to take courses remotely. So no one is being forced to come to campus. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the university as a whole has been following this Rocket Restart Plan because it's been a sort of an ongoing effort all summer, developing that document. as to how to prepare the buildings. So an environmental engineer went to each building and worked with the staff to identify just what social distancing meant in each of the classrooms and in the common spaces and individually in offices, whether or not more than one person could even be in an office. They gave us guidance on that, and there was signage developed, and the signage is in the next slide, Paul, if you could show that slide. I don't happen to see it here. Can you hear me? I hope so.
Yeah, is it one of these pictures here in the middle? The
Okay.
various different signs.
Okay, I'm just not seeing it on my screen. But okay, so yeah, so there's signage around all of the buildings. These happen to be pictures from the College of Business. But they're giving people, there's certainly visual reminders of maintaining social distance. There are arrows marking directional pathways into and out of the building. Certainly, we're asking people to do, first of all, mask up. Mask up, and masking is required, and students are signing a statement that they will commit to that. So they need to wear masks, they need to maintain distance. They're being given welcome kits that even have thermometers, so they're supposed to be taking their temperatures. And that was done all summer, by the way. Anybody coming to campus was having to report their temperature before they were allowed in the buildings, and the buildings were monitored as to who was coming in and out. So that's been being done all summer, but now when we have more people on campus, we're obviously going to remind people to wash their hands and, to safely distance from each other. And then the classrooms and the spaces, the common spaces, are going to be cleaned at an accelerated rate. So, more so than ever before, and on a routine basis, and in between classes and so on, as well as labs and bathrooms and high-touch areas. So that's all described in that restart plan, but we've already started that process because people are back in the building, so the signage is up and the reminders are up, and people are wearing masks, and hopefully when we become a little more crowded, that people will be sensitive to that and understand the rules and how to move through the building safely and through the campus. So that's how we've prepared, and of course classes that are being conducted face to face were designed so that students would socially distance within the class. There's going to be seating plans and seating charts in each classroom. There's an occupancy limit in each classroom. And then classes will be recorded, so the students who are not in the class on that day will have the benefit of seeing the recording, and then they'll likely flip, and the other half of the class will come on another day, and so on. So there's remote learning and face-to-face learning going on, but not everybody will be in tight quarters in the classrooms. So there's also a frequently asked questions section of that restart plan that addresses things like quarantining and how students will report their condition to the university and how that will be managed. There is a dorm that's being prepared for students who may have been diagnosed with the virus, and they will be able to quarantine and get instruction and food delivered to that dorm. So that's in line with what many other universities are doing.
All right, we have one final question for you here.
Sure.
And that is, you've been Dean of the College of Business here for, I believe, 2 years now, and are entering your third year. As you entered into the future, what is your vision for the College of Business over this next academic year and even into the fiscal year 22?
Well, thanks for the question. I would like to share, just in backing up a little bit, that in February, prior to us having to go remotely, we had a visiting team from AACSB, our accrediting body, come to campus, and our accounting and business programs were reviewed and successfully reaccredited during that period of time. And that was thanks to a lot of work by a lot of people and the past 5 years of work by people to have a business and accounting program that it has integrity and has successful outcomes. And by that I mean we have faculty, qualified faculty in the classrooms. We assess the learning of our students. We have a terrific graduation rate, which is honestly the highest in the university, and a fantastic placement rate of our students thanks to the business community that supports them and the programs within our college that prepare them. So our alumni were part of this process. They were engaged. They are engaged on advisory boards and in other ways with us. They support our programs, they donate to our programs, they give their time, treasure, and talent. So they were even among some of the people who got to meet the accrediting team. And so we passed with flying colors, and I just can't be prouder of our college and everybody who's worked so hard for that to happen. So that was sort of a highlight of the year before we had to break. And we do have 6 new faculty members coming this fall, and by this fall I mean next week. We have 6 new faculty members who we recruited last fall who will sort of, supplement our ranks of qualified and exciting faculty with new ideas and very timely research. Some of the research has been quoted in major business publications already, and they're brand new PhDs for the most part. So we are very glad that they are joining us and that they're coming to the Toledo community, and we will introduce them to the Toledo community in a more formal way this fall so that you can all know just what they bring to us in terms of their expertise. They're from across the country, and they represent every discipline in our college. So that is a very exciting development for us. And we have a new president, an interim president on campus. Dr. Gregory Postal is coming to us from the University of Louisville, and he's hit the ground running. He's met with the deans, and he plans to meet with us on a regular basis. And so we look forward to working with him and getting through the year as safely as possible. I might mention, and you probably already know, he's a medical doctor too, so that's kind of an added bonus under the circumstances. But to more directly answer the question about my vision for the next couple of years, we are going to remain in continuous improvement mode. We are going to innovate as we should as the College of Business and Innovation, right? We are going to go through our plans for program modification in the graduate area. And in the undergraduate area, we're going to develop new courses and certificates and programs that are of interest based on the research that we know and have conducted over the year. We're going to seek additional resources for the programs we have, the extracurricular ones, as well as our academic programs, and support the outstanding work that different units in our college provide, such as the Business Career Programs Office and the Center for Family Business and the Schmidt School and so on. And so we want to support the research of our faculty so they can continue to engage professionally and network. We're well known in Toledo, but we're actually ranked nationally as well. Our faculty are known, in the U.S. and around the world. We participate in international conferences. While we won't be traveling this year, most of these conferences are now being conducted online, so we will be participating in those as well. And we hope to get back to travel someday, so we will be supporting international travel for undergraduates, graduate students, and our EMBA students, our executive MBA students in the future. So we'll be looking for support for that kind of travel experience that really enriches our programs and a student's life. So my vision is, the continuous improvement model and garnering the support of all those who help us be as great as we are. I'm very appreciative of the support we get from the Toledo business community and our alumni all over the country and the world. So thanks for asking. I think that concludes our question part. So I'm going to introduce our special guest, Dr. Dana Hollie, who is the Allen Berry Endowed Professor of Accounting. And Dana joined the college the same year I did in 2018. And she was just recently awarded a visiting scholar opportunity to work with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC in DC. And so she went to DC this past year, took advantage of that opportunity. So I asked her to join me today so she could share that experience with all of you. So first of all, welcome, Dana. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself first? Can you introduce yourself to everybody out there?
Oh, thank you. A little bit about myself. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, so I'm kind of from this part of the woods growing up, but I've spent most of my academic career in the South between Houston and Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where I was at LSU for almost 9 years before coming to UT in 2018. And so, as Dean Bayless mentioned, we started at the same time. So a little bit. Living in the South, you can see, like, coming here my first year, the first winter was a little bit interesting. I forgot what the cold was like prior to coming back. So my Ph.D. is from Washington University in St. Louis, not to be confused with Seattle, Washington. And so I served at other schools in Colorado, Houston, Louisiana, and now UT. So I also want to say thanks to Dean Bayless. While I had a great, enriching experience and learning experience at the SEC, I'm delighted to be back at UT. And I am especially grateful to UT for allowing me the opportunity to do the fellowship in DC, especially since I was only at UT for 1 year when I made the request to take a leave of absence for a year. So I think this is a lot, both about the dean and the provost who approved this request. But the fellowship position is really they only select a handful of faculty each year to serve in that capacity. So I was honored to have the fellowship and thankful that I was allowed a year off to go and do this opportunity, take advantage of this opportunity.
How did you hear about the opportunity to begin with? Is it just well known in your field that this kind of opportunity is available?
It is pretty well known in the field of the opportunity, and ironically, maybe this says a lot about where I got my PhD, Washington University. 2 of my colleagues also were awarded this opportunity at some point in the past. Well, one of them enjoyed it so much she chose to stay at the SEC, so she didn't come back to academia. The position is posted. Usually we have a social science research network where people post like faculty positions, fellowships, opportunities, conferences, and so forth. And so that's only the outlet that we have in our field to get this information made available to us. And then you just apply. It's a competitive process to DC to interview at the SEC. And so it's a nice experience, but the expectation is that you relocate there for 1 or 2 years. You can do the leave up to the fellowship for up to 2 years. And so that's pretty much it.
We're glad you're back.
No, thank you.
So tell us, what was it like day to day? I mean, it was actually during the pandemic too. So there was you started off in a normal fashion going to an office, and what were you doing there?
Yeah, so at the SEC, I worked in the Division of Economic and Risk Analysis. So they call that group DERA. So DERA was created kind of after the SOX and financial crisis as a more of a research hub. So that hire a lot of like PhDs in that group, and then academics come in as visiting to provide support for them. And so I worked more specifically in the group of the Office of Structured Disclosure. And so for people who are familiar with financial statements, now when you file through the SEC, you file it using XBRL data. And so I worked in a group that housed this data. So when I first started there, it was really trying to get people in the commission to more actively use the data, helping them use data analytics to better utilize the data and what they can do with the data, helping them to use it for to identify risk metrics of disclosure, maybe seeing like what are firms disclosing versus what they should be disclosing using data analytics without being specific about specific companies. I also had the opportunity to do some research with corporate finance, and they're the division that usually reviews financial statements. And if you have any issues, you get comment letters, those types of things from the SEC. And I did a couple of things for enforcement, just doing some research utilizing that data. So a lot of my job was using the data, more specifically XBRL data, to do analysis to help support different groups within the SEC. That was pre-COVID. Post-COVID, we shifted, and it was interesting to see that how they shifted. So they were very efficient in shifting and very quick. So we went to 100% teleworking in the process, which was still efficient. And then my job transitioned to looking more at doing liquidity analysis, looking at cash burn rates. And so early on, it was, you're trying to see what companies or industries might suffer more from, and maybe their businesses being shut down or with the lockdown and so forth. And with the money that the government was doing, like bailout wise and stuff like that. So I did some research looking at prior bailouts that the government did with the banks and the car manufacturers, and kind of looking at what some of those outcomes were. And so that was probably my last 5 months. And so, I officially just wrapped up with the SEC July 31st. So I've only been back here a couple of weeks transitioning, but it was a really great opportunity to work with some really knowledgeable people at the SEC.
Sure. And how is that going to enhance your research, your own personal research?
Well, I had a lot of opportunity since DERA is a research group, so we do research as part of our responsibility. We don't do all of it on research, but we do a component of it. And so the first research project I did at the SEC was related to the critical audit matters disclosure. We call them CAMs. And so it was a new disclosure that is required. Last year it started for the big accelerated firms. And so I did an analysis looking at how were they disclosing, were they disclosing, were the disclosures boilerplate or and so forth. And so I wrote an academic paper too that I had published earlier this year, as well as wrote for the SEC.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So from that I then, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, can you bring some of that into the classroom as well?
Well, definitely, like the CAM disclosures are definitely, I'm not teaching auditing specifically. This was a disclosure that actually was for the auditors. But when we talk about, like one of the courses I'll be teaching is contemporary accounting problems. Mm-hmm. That one we can talk about more recent issues with like revenue recognition, with leases. One thing I found is looking at what were the issues identified with the CAM disclosure. And so I have some research projects that look at those issues. So like deferred revenue was a big issue. And then looking at how that compares with order backlog. I did something with investor activism and investment efficiency. So some people might find that more interesting than the nitty-gritty accounting research. But we see a lot of investors like, Warren Buffett, who are very engaged in the businesses they have investments in. And by having a large investment, they can generally have this, influence in the company. And so I look at whether these influencers can actually make companies make more efficient decisions.
Excellent, excellent. So, last question for you. What benefits did this experience have for you?
Well, as I mentioned, it definitely has, it helped my research, giving new topics, because you're always thinking like, what are new interesting topics? I already disclosed, did research in the area of disclosure in policy-oriented topics, but also in classroom. So I have corporate experience, I have academic experience, but I never saw anything from the inside of the policy-making regulator side. And so now I see the whole picture. So when I'm in the classroom, I can share that. And plus I have access to my colleagues from the SEC who have, offered to come and be guest speakers in my classroom. And so I'll definitely take advantage of those opportunities for them to come and engage the students in the classroom.
I think that's fabulous. Thank you. And we are glad you had that opportunity, and we're really glad you're back. And not only have you just been here a couple of weeks, but you got appointed by previous President Gaber as the Toledo Faculty Athletics Representative. So that's a new role. What does that role entail? What are you doing in that regard? Because this is a very unusual year, obviously, with the MAC football season and other sports being postponed. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so, since I'm new to the role, I'm still learning it, but this position is required by the NCAA Constitution that member institutions have this person. And so part of it, I'm the liaison between the university president, the athletic department, the Mid-Atlantic Conference, and the NCAA. And so it's mainly about overseeing the students, making sure academic integrity, monitoring them, if they need assistance, meeting with them on different issues, and then serving in an academic capacity as a consultant to athletics on issues that, and as well as compliance, athletic compliance. Mm-hmm. Some of the kind of topics that I touch, but right now I'm just attending the orientation sessions for each of the athletic teams at UT. So I'm just kind of meeting the coaches and the student athletes and getting acclimated. I mean, it's unfortunate they won't get to play this fall, but hopefully they'll be able to play this spring. And so it's just getting my feet wet in the process of everything with the role. So I'm looking forward to that. And we have really great athletes. I mean, our athletes have GPAs, average GPAs 3.3 and higher. So I think that says a lot about our student athletes and their academic success at UT.
I agree. Paul, you had a question for Dr. Hollie that a listener had sent in?
Yeah, so, well, there's, of course, I know there's been some people interested in the UT faculty athletics representative, so I'm glad you covered that, Dean Bayless. But another question that came in from a attendee is that, obviously you're a professor, you're getting prepared for the fall. What are some of the biggest challenges you see in keeping student learning impactful during the pandemic?
Well, I guess keeping students engaged in the process. So for me, I'm teaching one online class and one face-to-face class. And so with social distancing in the classroom, typically for graduate classes, I would have the students work in groups. So I'm trying to find ways to be creative, to get students where they can still collaborate, but not necessarily have to sit next to each other. And so one tool that UT has that I'm trying to utilize is Blackboard Collaborate, both in the classroom and also for people who choose to go to school virtually, that they can be engaged in the class at the same time rather than with a recording. And so what I plan to do, because it's new to me, it's new to the students, all this stuff, is really do a check-in with the students maybe after a couple of weeks and see what is working for them and what's not working for them, and kind of maybe reevaluate the platform or maybe some different tools that I can utilize. So it's just kind of a, evaluate, update, so that everybody, at least, most people are happy with what's going on.
Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Dana Hollie, and I think this was a really great opportunity to update everybody and to address some questions people had, and certainly viewers feel free to contact us. This will be recorded, or it is being recorded, and so if there are any questions following or you want to review anything, that'll be available to you, and you can always reach out to us by email. And I'm going to hand it back to Paul, who's going to introduce Aaron Hafner to tell you about some opportunities to support the college. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yes, thank you. Many times today, I actually lost count. The COVID-19 pandemic was referenced, and we're very well aware it's created a lot of challenges for businesses, the community, alums. But one of the more heartwarming things we've experienced here at the University of Toledo Foundation is the number of people that have reached out and said, how can I help? I would like to donate. I just don't really know where to go or how to do it. And so today I have Erin Hafner, who is one of our assistant directors for annual giving, and she's here to tell us a little bit more for those of you that are looking to help, how they can do so.
Thank you very much, Paul. As he mentioned, my name is Erin Hafner. I am an assistant director for annual giving. We worked very, very hard to do some fundraising for the Rocket to Rocket Fund during the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we were very successful. We reached our goal very quickly and continued to meet and exceed the goals that we pushed forward and forward and forward. So we're very proud of that. You heard a lot of really exciting things that the college is doing right now. If you would like to support the college, as you can see on your screen right now, there is a slide that shows some of the different progress funds for each of the departments, as well as the College of Business and Innovation Progress Fund. You can go to the site Give to UT, and it's the number 2, Give to the number 2, UT.utoledo.edu/COBI for the College of Business and Innovation. And it has some of our funds available on that site, so you can make a gift to support the college. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Well, at this time, I want to thank all of you for joining us for today's virtual town hall with Dean Ann Bayless and our special guest, Dr. Dana Hollie. So a special thank you to you, Dean Bayless, for helping out with today's event, as well as you, Dr. Dana Hollie, taking time out of your busy schedule the Friday before classes start to be part of today's event. Today's event is sponsored by the College of Business alumni affiliate, as well as the College of Business. I'm sorry, my screen just went black. We want to thank you for staying in touch with the College of Business. We do have our contact information on the screen. You should be able to see it. Hopefully it's there. Like I said, mine just went blank. If you want more information, feel free to reach out to us. It is all there, and we'd be happy to get back with you. But until next time, thank you for spending time with us today. Have a good weekend, and go Rockets.